Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. By now, you probably know that Chris Olave was arrested last night in Kenner. The reports say that he was driving 70 miles per hour in a 35. He was arrested and released. His brother took to Twitter and said, hey, he was coming back from CBS. No big deal. And look, now that this situation is over and that no one was hurt and that Chris Olave was proven not to be under the influence of anything, just driving too fast, we can sit back and say, okay, nothing significant happened here. Is it really stupid to go 70 miles an hour in a 35-mile-an-hour zone? Yeah, it's really stupid to do that. Did anybody get hurt? No. We feel like we got some lessons learned here, hopefully, and you just move on. It's not something that I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about. And if the Saints were undefeated at this point in the calendar, this would be just nothing. And it may be just nothing. But I remember being on these airwaves probably 3 years ago and talking about organizations in the NFL and which ones were strong and built on solid foundations and felt like they had staying power and which ones were just perpetually brutal because they couldn't get things figured out. And it's not hard to point to them. Steelers, pretty solid organization. Things run pretty good over there. I would say the same thing about San Francisco for the most part. Seems like a strong organization. Houston can't figure anything out. They're all over the place. They're hiring coaches left and right. They got GMs left and right. They're switching quarterbacks. Like that thing's a grease fire. Things in Chicago have been terrible for a long time. Like, you know which organizations generally have it together and which ones don't. And it usually goes a little bit further than, hey, they got a pretty good quarterback this year. It's an organizational strength that you point to. And for a long time, I really felt like the Saints fit into that category. The Benson ownership had put its roots down in New Orleans. You had gotten by Katrina. You had a head coach and a general manager that had worked together very, very well. And, of course, you had a very, very good quarterback. But you even had a couple of years there where Drew got hurt, and the Saints were still winning some games. Teddy was winning games. Taysom was winning games. And I was going, man, this thing, Drew's awesome. And he's one of the 15 best quarterbacks to ever play, and you could argue far better than that. But he's one of the greatest players to ever play the position. But this organization is really, really strong just in terms of its structure. And Chris Olave breaking the speed limit does not in any way compromise the Saints organization as a whole. These two are not connected. But it did just get me thinking about the way things sit right now, because Chris Olave doesn't appear to be super pumped out there anyway. And we know about the routes that are being broken off and Derek Carr and him not being quite on the same page. And I have my thoughts on that we'll get to here in a second. But Michael Thomas is taking to Twitter and saying that Derek Carr's eyes aren't going to the right place and responding to a Nick Underhill tweet. And you can't feel super awesome about where Dennis Allen sits right now with his body of work as a head coach. And it's not a totally unmitigated disaster. It just feels very shaky, very, very shaky. And that feels like maybe a bigger issue than throwing too many fades in the end zone and not scoring in the red zone. Like, is there a bigger picture here of things that we need to be concerned about? Let me speak to Chris Olave and not running the route briefly. I've seen the video that you've all seen. I've seen Derek Carr's reaction. I've seen the press conference footage. I've seen all of that. And I understand that on this play that Chris Olave runs the go route on, his job is to occupy the safety so the players can work underneath him with some more space. And he's not part of the progression. He's not part of the read. They're not going to throw him the football. He is a decoy running this go route. I understand that. I just don't necessarily accept a blanket statement that says this guy who's lined up as an eligible receiver is in no way a part of this route after he runs 15 yards. That doesn't hold any water to me. I never played high school football. I never played college football. I did not play in the NFL. So I've never been in this situation, but it seems to me like, hey, if we've only got 4 guys out here that can make a catch, they all should be available to catch the ball on this snap. So if the play design is for Chris Olave to run a go route and occupy the safety, then run a full-speed go route and look back for the football. I don't think your job is done if you run 15 yards and then loaf. And clearly, the notion that this route is in no way part of the progression is not true, because Derek Carr literally threw the football that way on the play. Now, you want to say it's a terrible decision to make the throw because it's in double coverage? I'm not going to argue with that at all. I think it is a terrible throw to make that throw into double coverage, and it's bad that the receiver's not running, and it's bad that they're not on the same page, and it's bad that Derek Carr's reacting that way, and it's bad. It's just the whole thing is bad. And I've had this show now with Jeremy and then Solo for better than 2 years. And I've just never been harder on the Saints than I'm being right now because of all these things. It doesn't seem like a lot of people are happy. I hear words in press conference like guys need to get locked in, and we need to get on the same page, and guys need to handle their responsibilities and handle their business. And I'm thinking like, man, this is an organization that I thought had a great culture, and I'm just not sure that it's not buckling right now. And it buckled when Sean Payton was there, and they went 7-9. But look, they cut the fat. They were sending guys packing, taking on dead money. They were going to make a concerted effort to bring in guys who fit the culture and made it work. And I have no information regarding how Chris Olave fits in the locker room. My gut is probably pretty good. He's a hell of a player. He had a great rookie year. He's had a good start to his first year. His second year, he probably fits in pretty well. And I have no information suggesting that he's not a great dude. Again, I'm not that concerned now that it's over that he was driving 70 miles an hour. It's just stupid. And I wish he would run the play out, but that's a really easy fix. But it just feels like this whole thing is a big picture issue. I don't know how well Derek Carr is fitting in, and I know that there's yelling and screaming going on, and frustration can be a good thing. Tom Brady ripped and berated people for 20 years. Peyton Manning got all over Jeff Saturday one time. There's a commercial made out of it now that says, hey, play center and snap the football. Intensity is a good thing. And losing, which they've done 4 out of 5 now, magnifies struggles and issues. So I am willing to sit here and say that we could look back 3 weeks from now and suggest maybe things are moving in the right direction. I'm not closing the door on that. What I am going to stand firm on is I don't feel great about this. I don't feel great about Dennis Allen. I don't feel great about some of the decisions the Saints have made in the draft and free agency. I don't feel great about the fact that their first-round pick from last year is being quit on, basically. I don't feel good about the yelling matches on the sideline. I don't feel good about the wins and losses. I don't feel good about the offensive line and some of the aging contracts on defense. The whole thing, to me, as I look at this, doesn't look great. And that's just really hard to fix. It's easy to cut a couple guys. It's easy to restart in free agency and go grab 3 or 4 guys and add a few draft picks. And it's easy to fire the head coach. But when it just feels like there's so much shaky, it feels bad. And trust me, I am well aware that I sat right here in this exact chair and told Saints fans 48 hours before their season started, man, when I look at this division and I look at this Saints roster and I look at what they are, I think this has got a chance to be a really solid season that ends in January with really meaningful games. And again, I'm not picking the Saints to go to the Super Bowl, but I think they've got a chance to win a playoff game at home and do something that's really interesting and fun to get rallied around this year. I said that 8 weeks ago. And I just feel completely differently now. We'll get Sharif's thoughts coming up in the second hour, but it just feels like things are in a bad way in New Orleans. Let's really hope they can rally around things, find something offensively, keep playing really good defense, and win 3 of your next 4, and we'll have a different conversation. That's just how I feel right now today. And it has very little to do with the fact that Chris Olave was speeding, but it just allowed me to kind of reset, and I just don't feel like much positivity is coming out of the facility down there with the black and gold. So we'll see. Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.